Here's something that might surprise you. At age 78, Andrew Joe Biden became not just the oldest president in U.S. history, but he also inherited perhaps the most complex set of challenges any modern president has faced: a global pandemic, historic political division, and an economy in crisis. Let's dive into how this unprecedented combination has shaped his presidency.
That's fascinating when you frame it that way, Pappy. This intersection of experience and unprecedented challenges. His first day in office really set the tone, didn't it?
Well, speaking of first days, he hit the ground running with 17 executive orders on day one, rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement, mandating masks on federal property, and halting construction of the border wall. It was like watching decades of political experience being channeled into immediate action.
You know what's interesting about his approach? The way he's balanced progressive goals with this old school bipartisan style of governance?
Exactly. Take the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. That $1.2 trillion package got support from both parties, which is pretty remarkable in today's political climate. We're talking about the largest infrastructure investment since the interstate highway system.
Though some of his other initiatives haven't had quite the same bipartisan success, have they?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. The American Rescue Plan, $1.9 trillion in COVID relief, passed without a single Republican vote. But here's the surprising part: it included provisions that traditionally conservative voters supported, like those direct payments to families.
Let's talk about his handling of the pandemic. That was really the defining challenge early in his presidency.
Oh man, the numbers there are staggering. His administration oversaw the distribution of over 500 million vaccine doses in 2021 alone. We went from about 1% of Americans being fully vaccinated when he took office to over 63% by the end of his first year.
So, what do you think has been the most unexpected aspect of his presidency so far?
I'd say it's his emergence as this wartime leader in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Here's a president who campaigned on domestic renewal, suddenly coordinating the largest international coalition since World War II. The U.S. has provided over $75 billion in assistance to Ukraine. That's more than any other country,
Speaking of international relations, his approach to China has been pretty nuanced.
right? He's maintained Trump's tough stance on trade while rebuilding diplomatic channels. But what's really fascinating is how he's woven domestic and foreign policy together. The CHIPS Act, for instance, isn't just about competing with China, it's about creating American jobs and securing supply chains.
That connection between international and domestic policy seems to be a recurring theme.
Absolutely. And it shows up in climate policy too. The Inflation Reduction Act included $369 billion for climate initiatives, the largest such investment in U.S. history. It's positioned as both an environmental and economic policy aiming to create millions of clean energy jobs.
Though he's faced some significant challenges too, particularly with inflation,
That's been the big shadow over his economic achievements. Despite creating over 10 million jobs, more than any president in history, and seeing unemployment fall to 3.4%, the lowest in 50 years, inflation has been this persistent thorn in his side.
how do you think history will remember his presidency?
Well, that's what makes studying this moment so fascinating. We're watching a presidency that's fundamentally about restoration and resilience. His quote about leading not by the example of our power, but by the power of our example, really captures this attempt to rebuild both American infrastructure and American leadership.
So it's really about this larger project of national renewal?
Exactly. Whether it's the historic appointment of Ketanji Brown Jackson as the first Black woman on the Supreme Court, or the massive investments in infrastructure and climate, or the rebuilding of international alliances, it's all part of this broader effort to, as he puts it, build back better. The question is whether these efforts will be enough to address the deep divisions and challenges facing the country.
That's quite a legacy to consider, Pappy.
And perhaps that's what makes this presidency so significant, Andrew. It's not just about specific policies or decisions, but about this fundamental attempt to prove that American democracy can still deliver in the face of unprecedented challenges. As Biden often says, our best days still lie ahead. Whether that proves true might be the ultimate test of his presidency.